Hello, everyone. This is Johann, and welcome to a very different version of Pop Gerlijs. Obviously, we're usually in the studio, and we're usually also talking to Maltese female entertainers. We've also had past Malta Eurovision representatives and contestants, so we're kind of going in that same vein. But obviously, it's not just about Eurovision. Today, I am very, very happy to have our first ever international guest. And obviously, this is why we're doing things differently online. And I've immediately started talking in English. Disclaimer before anyone comes for me because we're not speaking in Maltese. But today we have a very special guest on Pop Girlies. One of the things I wanted to try and achieve this year is to actually reach out to some of my personal favorite people in general. And obviously, one of those categories you could say is Eurovision, because I love Eurovision. Not too happy with what's going on right now, and we will possibly get into that. But in terms of Eurovision itself, it's obviously something I've loved ever since I was, I think, 7 or 8 years old. And this person that we have today has one of my favorite Eurovision songs ever, by far. So today with me, we have Margaret Berger from Norge. Is that how you would say Norway?
Absolutely, Norge.
It's just me
Yay!
today. How
Thank
are
you for
you?
having me.
How are you? All good?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm like at home. It's a lot of snow outside the window. It's like
Oh,
this much snow, so that's nice to look at. And yeah, happy to be here with you talking about pop music and Eurovision. That's like
yes. Thank
what.
you so much. I mean, here, as you would expect, it's just very sunny outside, as usual.
Yeah.
No snow. But I do love like winter, and I will at one point also ask you for some recommendations if I ever had to visit, because Norway is definitely on my bucket list of places to visit for sure.
Yeah, and actually, what has happened the last years is that people go on like a cold cation instead of a hot cation because there's been so many heat waves in the middle of Europe, especially. So people actually like flee maybe like Italy or Spain or those kind of like vacation places to go to Norway for the summer, which is like so weird, but also very like we're happy about it.
No, I mean, I will be one of those people. Like I say it all the time, we have too much. It's strange to say, but we just have too much heat and sun all year round. So for us, we kind of, or at least for me, I would just want somewhere where it's colder and fresher, and I can actually wear layers. That is like my big thing.
It's like here in Norway, we're like really into our knitted sweaters, our scarves, or like we're obsessed. Everyone has like so much wool. It's like insane, but we're obsessed with jackets, shoes, and wool knitted sweaters in beautiful patterns, and it's like a whole thing. Mm.
Have you ever been to Malta?
No, I haven't. I've actually not, like my family, we didn't travel a lot when I was a kid. So all of the traveling that I've been doing in my life has happened like when I was a grown up. And I haven't gotten around to going to Malta, but I would love to.
Maybe don't come in the summer. I don't know. It depends how you are with heat, because
Look at my skin. Like I cannot go a place like that for summer. That would be just like dangerous. I would just have to stay under an umbrella the whole time.
exactly. I was gonna say. I mean, I'm doing that at this point because it's getting so hot in summer. So you'll be fine. You don't need to be embarrassed about that for sure.
What is a good time to go though? Is it like spring, fall?
I would say personally, I always mention like I think March, April is a good period, because right now, even though it's sunny, it's also quite cold, and here we're not equipped for the cold. So even like I'm literally wearing gloves right now because my hands get really cold.
Yeah.
Because obviously our houses are not built for,
Yeah.
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 So I would say, March, April would be a good.
Nice. I could do like an Easter vacation maybe.
And when we were planning for today, you mentioned that you were casually in the mountains, I believe, earlier this month, which is like I'm so jealous. I'm like I'm just going to the mountains for the weekend.
It sounds like a parody of a Norwegian person, doesn't it? Like, oh, it's just snowing and I'm up in the mountains, but it is what you think it is. We were up in the mountains in a wood cabin, and
Oh,
there's like reindeers right next
wow.
to the cabin, and yeah, there's geese and everything. It's I think one of the nice things about Norway is that we have all seasons. Like, we really have summer as well. I live in like a summer city that where there's a lot of like swimming, and you don't have any guarantees of summer. Like, summer could also just be like 20 degrees Celsius through the whole summer, and then you'd kind of like have to go to Central Europe to get some heat.
But that is like my summer,
Yeah,
ideally, not like 40
yeah,
degrees,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
You should just like come on a cold-cation. Absolutely.
I will keep it in mind for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously, yes, especially maybe people who are watching, maybe even Maltese people who are Eurovision fans, would obviously know you mainly from 2013 because I mean, yes, I Feed You My Love, as I said, one of my I would say top five
Oh,
favorites ever. I still remember because that year, for once, we actually did really well. In
ah,
Malta came eighth, I think.
yeah, yeah,
So obviously we were like really excited that we could actually do well. And
yeah.
I still remember being like, this song needs to win. I know you didn't, but
Oh,
in my heart, that is what I wanted to happen. But what I wanted to mention to you actually is that even though obviously I love that song and I've listened to more of your music, the one song that for some reason I still always listen to and I love Apologize. That song, for some reason,
thank you.
I love it. I don't know if there's a particular maybe not necessarily meaning behind the song because I don't expect artists to like tell me exactly what the meaning behind the song is. But I don't know. Do you remember the time when you were working on that song in particular and like what
Yeah.
inspired you to work on that one? And if no one, if someone watching has never listened to Apologize, please go and look it up. It's really good.
Yeah, I would love to talk about that song. It's one of my absolutely most personal songs, and it's about a relationship that was very important to me, like boyfriend that I was together with. I think, yeah, it's like 15 years ago now. But the song is about, I think maybe also a bit childhood trauma and being like a bit broken from watching, your parents not having the best relationship, and being like, I was the third child of a family that was kind of falling apart when I was a teenager. So I've never really seen my parents be happy. Like, I've seen my sisters have experienced that because they're older than me. So they have like a few years in their childhood where, but in the 90s when I grew up, it was like divorce was like a much more shameful thing. My dad was a priest. He is a priest. So also like getting a divorce was like hard on him, on the family, shame again, like all of that. So I think that my parents, I'm happy that my parents, made us three girls, but I also find them a lot more happier today. So I kind of grew up with two parents that weren't really happy together, and that created a childhood trauma which has been difficult, in relationships. And I have been self-destructive in those relationships, like um probably repeating patterns, that I've watched, and it's really hard to like change something that you learned as a young child, and kind of like break that cycle. But it's something that I continue to work on, like every day. I think with my kids and with my relationships, and yeah. So it was like about a relationship that I left, but that I was very sad about leaving.
I mean, I can definitely, I don't know, from the first moment I heard that song, obviously the emotion, I
Mm,
could feel it because, I mean, yes, I Feed You My Love. My Love is a big song. It's, bombastic, it's dramatic, it
mm,
grabs you. Obviously, even the way you performed it was, I would say, perfectly matched the song. But I remember when I heard that song, I was like, wow, this is a really very different style, but at
mm,
the same time, obviously, your voice and your passion, I would say, still came through. With
mm,
I Feed You My Love, I would say I also wanted to mention, I still remember, I don't know if we had a commentator at the time in Malta because we used to and now we don't, but I still remember, I think the commentator said something like, "You will remember the dress that she is wearing for sure." I'm wearing white on purpose, I guess. How tight was that dress? Because it looked like it fit you beautifully and
yeah.
perfectly like a glove.
It was so tight. It was like it was meant to be. It was actually like a quite inexpensive dress, but they bought three of the same dress because the dress was short, and then they kind of cut off pieces and sew it together. All because I wanted like that bandage look. Also because the song starts with a cocoon, so the dress is kind of like a symbol of a cocoon, like bandaged
Mm.
white. But I didn't want it to be too costumey. I wanted it to be have a little bit of like sass, and I remember like Beyonce and Jennifer Lopez was a bit of a like an influence for me, being like a curvy girl. So yeah, so it was like the whole like being a flattering dress that women would like, not too costumey, but still emulate a cocoon. So it was so tight, and we tried to like cut it different ways so that I could walk better, but it was like no, it was just horrible. And I had to wear like two sets of Spanx underneath for it to be
Wow.
like because everything would show. And then I'm quite sometimes I can be quite like impatient, and I remember the general rehearsal for the Eurovision is really important, as Eurovision fans will know, because that's when the jury listens to your performance. And then me and the songwriter Karin Park, we were like in the dressing room, and I was supposed to wait for the costume person in Norway to come back from finishing the choir ladies. And then I was like, screw this. Let's just put the dress on. So I don't want to just like stand around in my Spanx waiting. And then he pulled it up, and then we heard just like, and the whole dress just like the
Oh
whole
my God.
back just ripped open, like the zipper ripped from the fabric. So we were just panicking. Like I've never heard someone swear as much in my life as the costume woman called Susanne. She was like, shit, 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 shit. Why did you do that? Why did you do that? That was so stupid. I was like, I know, I'm sorry. And then we had to like run. We pulled it up, and then we ran to like this emergency room type of costume situation, and then they just stitched the whole dress like
Oh
just
wow.
on me. And I was so scared that it would like break again when I was performing. So I was like dancing, but like not as much as
Yeah, you're like,
so
wow.
yeah,
Okay. I definitely didn't know about that. So we have an exclusive, I guess, but insane. Apart from that traumatic experience, I don't know what are like the because I mean it's been a while, obviously since 2013, but what are like the highlights or I don't know the memories that still are really vivid from that time.
Well, I was there's a lot of memories. Like I remember a lot because it was like a very special year and a very special week, an occasion. So I was there with one of my best friends, the drummer that's on stage, Axel. Is one of my best friends, and we've always like watched Eurovision together. We've always had like Eurovision parties. So we actually couldn't believe that we were in Eurovision. We were like two geeky Eurovision fans that were like all of a sudden just like, we're here. What? So I remember like that relationship very well, and that I was so happy that I brought him along. So we would always like dance backstage, just me and him together, because we were the ones that were like on the front stage together and just trying to like enjoy and not get too nervous. It is absolutely nerve wracking when you start thinking about how many people will see this. This will go on forever. You know, it's a part of history. It's on YouTube, and everyone can watch it for many years to come if you do something stupid or something happens, you know. So that really makes you nervous. So we were just trying to be like joyful, I think, me and him together. So I remember that very vividly. And then I remember Bonnie Tyler was representing.
Oh, true. Completely forgot about that. It's true.
Yeah, she was representing the UK, I think. Yeah, I think it was UK.
Yes.
And I remember after I came fourth, it was clear that Denmark would win. She ran up to me and like whispered in my ear with her raspy voice. She was like, "You should have won, darling." And then she like, ran away. And I was like, "Oh my god, I can't believe Bonnie Tyler knows who I am." And also, I remember the giant Igor. Um, Igor,
Ukraine.
yes, Igor the giant,
Oh my god, yes.
because you know Eurovision, uh, especially in 2013, kind of felt like a circus. It was like it's so weird. Like there's so many weird things happening, and even though I was like a fan of the show, I hadn't really like I haven't watched all of it and like analyzed it or anything. I was just like, oh, this is so special. And 2013 was, I think, was a really good year. A
Yeah.
lot of good songs, and Igor, you know, he was so big that he had to like walk into the um like the back doors, like the ones that open like this. And I don't know if have you seen the movie Big Fish?
Yes.
Yeah. You know that vibe, like that it's like, what? There's like a giant here. I couldn't.
Yeah, okay. Now I understand what you're saying. Yeah, it is yeah, it's true. It's I remember honestly what I remember the most about that year is how huge obviously I don't know if the arena itself was huge, but I don't know the way that they designed the staging and everything, it all just looked insane. And obviously then yes, you had obviously certain acts who decided to go all out as we usually get. And I guess at the time as well, social media wasn't really a thing. So probably, I don't know, did that create even more pressure to kind of be perfect on the night? Because I don't know, I feel like now people are so in it and know every single song from the moment they're out, and everyone is obviously sharing their opinions online. At that time, I feel like even though there was social media, it still wasn't like as big as it is today. So I don't know how, especially then considering that you tried again at the Norwegian national selection 2 years ago. Like,
Mm.
what big differences did you see between the two experiences?
There's a huge difference. I think the whole community is a lot more defined, and there's a lot. is a lot more visible. I think the fans have more like the opinions of the really true Eurovision fans is a lot more or out there. Just like you can always like know what people know or say, and I think the big difference for me was that it was kind of like obvious to me that Gåte was gonna win, you know, in Norway the year I was there. So I was kind of relaxed around the whole voting thing because I was like, it's Gåte's year, you know, and you can kind of feel that a lot stronger now. It was more up in the air in 2013. You didn't really know what would
Mm-hmm,
happen, but now it feels like you kind of know who's going to be the top 10. Uh,
mm-hmm.
you kind of know like 5 weeks before Eurovision, you kind of know that, especially like I think um Alessandra, with the Kings and Queens,
Yeah.
you know, it was very obvious to everyone that she was gonna place high because her song was just had gone completely viral. And I think it is good things. There's good things about that because the music can survive a little bit longer than the night itself. It's actually a part of hit charts now. But the thing that I don't like so much about it is that Eurovision is all about the live moment. It's all about, you know, singing in key tune, dancing really well. And I think that you can maybe change your outcome a little bit by doing a really good live performance, but um it will never like, if there's a hit song out there, it's a hit song and that song is going to be in the top 10, even though if the performer just doesn't really do a good job as well. So yeah, I kind of like, it's cool that the songs starts to be hit songs, but I would prefer it if the live performance had a little bit more weight.
No, I mean, I think we experienced that in Malta last year when we had a very viral song, and it
Mm.
was very strange to see, in my case, someone I knew, a friend of mine, all of
Yeah.
a sudden become this, like, gay icon, and all
Yeah.
of a sudden she's seeing millions of streams. She doesn't like she we've had her on here, and she literally said that she would feel physically sick because she was so overwhelmed. And then
Yeah.
obviously she went there, it was great, but then the result was what it was.
Yeah.
So it's definitely very interesting how now, whereas even when I was younger, we would listen to the Eurovision songs on the night, and it's kind of like, or maybe a little bit before, whereas now you have access to literally anything and everything, and the national final performances, maybe even demos, like literally anything. Um, what I obviously this year, it's a bit of a strange one. I mean, even for me personally as a Eurovision fan, I've kind of been waiting patiently, hoping for change to happen. And obviously this year, especially with 5 countries deciding to completely leave the competition,
Mm.
even I, in fact, publicly, said that I decided I will not be, promoting the contest in any way, just because it's the least I can do. Obviously, as a long time fan, it's very strange.
Mm.
And obviously, I don't want you to feel like you need to say anything or take any sort of stand, but I did want to kind of just gauge your feelings about it, because
Mm.
even I find it difficult to say let's boycott the contest, because I just love it, and I also love the opportunities it gives to
Mm.
artists, especially coming from such a small island where, things like that, like what happened to Mariana last year, where she could now become a full-time musician and tour and have a big international following. It's something that, her life was completely different before she even got to that stage. So I don't know how you feel
Mm.
genuinely about the situation at the moment.
I feel a lot of things. I think I share your confusion, and
Yeah,
I still don't understand the decision to not. I would like it if Israel wasn't welcome until the situation in Gaza was resolved, and it certainly isn't. So I think maybe for a lot of people, like last year was a bit of an eye opener with the results and the surprise element of like Israel being really really high up, almost winning, and just like I think people were scratching their heads a little bit, like what's going on here? Is it like rigged or something? And I'm being very careful, and I don't want to offend anyone because I have nothing against Israel. Uh, I have nothing against Judaism. I have nothing against Jews. And I just want to make sure that that comes across. But the situation is that there's been so much suffering. There's been so many years of suffering, and I think that um, it is important to take a stand. And I think it's difficult for the Eurovision fans because Eurovision has always been about coming together, celebrating music, celebrating love, but it's really hard to celebrate those kind of things when you just like have a sequin curtain over like a disaster going on with children dying and hunger and you know crimes being committed during wartime. So, and also like a lot of propaganda. I think that people, the veil of the propaganda has been like lifted a lot, and I don't think that a country should have people sitting in a room voting for their country to win being paid by the government. I don't know if that is 100% true. That's what I heard. and
yeah,
and I heard that they spend a lot of money on the propaganda and making people vote. So
yeah,
it's up to EBU to like make the rules really clear, and I wish that they would have the courage to take a stand. I think that that would have a great effect. I think that Eurovision is really important for Israel. And I found it really difficult when I was a participant myself because the whole situation in Gaza with Palestine escalated like right when the Eurovision season started. It was like then we could see all of the videos, all of the things. It was like a constant flow of videos that we were being sent, and I struggled a lot to know if I was gonna be a part of it or not. I remember talking to Magnus, who's the guitar player of Gåte, which was our winners that year, and he said something very wise that I kind of leaned into, which was like, it's important for us to stay in touch with each other in Europe. Like, it's important that we don't boycott and turn our back and like not we can't like we have to continue the conversation, and them being a part of it is making us able to protest, making us able to give out messages to the Israeli government. But I also feel, bad for a lot of the Israeli artists that have been, booed and bullied, and they're just like people trying to make music, and they shouldn't have to like carry the whole of the war and Israel on their shoulders. They're just like musicians, So it's not fair to attack them either. But I just think that after a lot of years of obviously manipulating the system in Eurovision and the whole crimes that has been committed during wartime. I think that it would be good for everyone if either that we shut down Eurovision for a couple of years and just experience the world without it. Just could it be on a pause and then we can concentrate on something else for a couple of years? Or that we make the rules really clear about what's gonna go on in your country if you want to be a contestant, because it was supposed to be a contest that was about bringing Europe together after a war. So yeah, a lot of opinions, a lot of words. Blah blah blah.
Yeah. But no, I just feel it's a very ironic situation, and also I don't like when people say, "Ah, but Eurovision shouldn't be political." Our lives are inherently political. It's when you look at Eurovision, even through the years, you see how it's reflecting how
Mm,
people feel, what's going on in the world, positive and negative. I mean, we've had songs with a strong message about war
mm,
forever at this point in the contest. So it just feels strange. And I guess maybe, and this kind of, I guess, reflects also the situation in other places around the world where we're seeing a bit of extremism and even like conservative ideologies kind of really come to the forefront in 2026 when we're supposed to be moving forward. So,
mm,
yeah, I mean, I share your feeling of I was hoping that maybe this year, after the result of last year, maybe things were finally going to change. And I was really, really hopeful. But then, as soon as I saw that news that basically 5 countries in a matter of days decided to leave, that's
mm,
when I was like, I think maybe I'll sit this one out this year and kind of let it play out. Because, and I feel bad. I mean, even for our own artist, Aiden, I know him as well. And he's been wanting to go, I think, ever since he was a teenager. And
mm,
it's just, I just personally think it's awkward, even from experiences that I've heard from the more recent representatives in Malta, where they had to be not just careful about what to say or who to be with, but even just their own feelings. Is it okay for me to be here? Should
mm,
I feel bad?
mm,
So it's I just unfortunately think it's a bit of a it leaves me a bit speechless in a way, because it's sad. At the same time, I don't want to focus too much on the negative side of it, but it
mm.
is what it is, unfortunately.
It is, and it's. I don't think it should be up to artists or us as fans to solve it. I think that EBU should be more transparent and braver. Like there was a time in the world where people will just like protest all the time against wars and make a change, and the rights that we live with today hasn't, they've been pushed forward by really brave people, and I think that it's it's too much of a like wanting to be a neutral type of situation, wanting to not have an opinion. And unfortunately, we also have to face the fact that, not to go too dark, but like a lot of countries have done bad things. A lot of, you know, a lot of like we have our oil fund, in Norway, that is up to debates a lot of the time, because we've grown wealthy on also a product that destroys the climate, which is a big problem. So it is always like important to not think that your country has perfectly clean hands, because no country will ever have clean hands as long as we're living in a capitalistic society. So it's a bit of a balance act. It's not going to be like really possible to have like a totally neutral situation.
Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, let's. This always happens. I'm like, it's gonna be a chill episode, and then all of a sudden we just go. But I mean, it's important to talk about, obviously, and I didn't want to ignore it. But I definitely wanted to ask you a little bit about just your love for music in general, kind of where it started. And I also wanted to get a bit of an idea of maybe where you are at right now, because obviously after Oblivion in 2024, and I know you released some other music as well at that time.
Mm.
Um, uh, I don't know where you are at right now, if you're maybe working with other people, or if you have any particular projects or ambitions or dreams in mind for your music at the moment.
So I've been doing music since I was like I could walk. I come from a Christian family. My dad is a priest, and he is also a good guitarist. And we've always been, singing in gospel choirs. We've always had a piano at home. So singing, dancing, playing instruments, singing together was always like a big part of life. And I think just in my family, I kind of was the girl that would annoy people a lot because I would never stop singing and playing, It was just, I was just so addicted to it and hooked, and I would just like play Whitney Houston, Mariah Carey, and Celine Dion, all of those like big vocalists. I would just play them over and over again, and I would just like listen to a little part of this Celine Dion song, and I would try to emulate that, and I would just go back and try again. And like I didn't really have vocal lessons, but I just, yeah, taught myself how to sing through doing that, to copying other vocalists. And then I started songwriting when I was like 12, 13 years old. And then I went to music college. And then that didn't really feel like the right place for me. So I applied for Idol in 2004 in Norway, and I came second there, and I got a record deal. And then kind of like that's just like where the whole career thing started. And it's pop music. When I was releasing my second album, which is called Pretty Scary Silver Fairy, and it's 20 years this year. It was released in 2006. It was kind of like a genre album that was very like electro pop Scandinavian music. And a lot of people has told me that that album was kind of released maybe like 5 years too early. So it wasn't like a huge success at the time, but now I see like it's an album that people keep listening to. And I was thinking that maybe this year I would do some sort of like series where I would go through that album and just maybe try to get more people to discover it, because it is kind of one of those albums that was in and the early days of like Annie and Robin and Bertine Stetlitz, which is a good artist we have here in Norway. And yeah, a lot of like this like electro pop girlies that was
Yeah,
like
literally.
yeah, that was in the beginning of like 2005 to 2010. There was a lot of good music being released then, and I think that that album really still is good. And now I'm actually working on kind of a full circle project, which is I want to mix Norwegian songs with techno, which maybe sounds a bit weird, and maybe it will be like a really narrow group of people that can listen to that. But I have this like vision of doing like a techno concert inside churches with
Wow.
lots of cool lights. And I've been to Berlin a lot on clubs there, and I feel like there's sort of like a bridge between hymns and club music and the like.
Definitely.
Yeah, there's just something there that really excites me, and I've tested it out in the studio, and it wasn't as weird as I thought. It felt very natural to mix those two worlds. So that's like my next project now. It's called Psalm. Um, it is the same name as Kim Kardashian and Kanye West's child, but it has nothing to do with them.
Wow. You're fine. It's fine. No,
So,
it sounds amazing. I think you've touched on a good. As soon as you said that, you kind of reminded me of Jerry Hale from Ukraine. I feel
yeah,
like she's kind of been playing around with that style. I mean, she tried out again this year for Eurovision. She didn't go through, but her song is literally it's literally called it's catharticus, and it's a prayer in Latin, but then it has that, maybe it's not full on techno, but it has that electronic beat that kind of really weaves in nicely with her like angelic, almost choral
yeah,
vocals. So I'm very, very excited to see
yeah,
what you're working on, because it sounds very, very interesting.
yeah. I just hope that I hope that I get to like work on it. I think that when once I get into the studio and I can be in the studio for 2 weeks, I can like finish this project quite soon. I just have to like find the right people to do this with. But it's definitely I've already played some of these songs live a few places too, and I was very surprised by people's reaction because it felt really scary for me to share something. It's so personal to me because I think I'm going to be a little bit political again, but for me, growing up in the church and listening to, you know, the message of the Bible and how much it talks about love and forgiveness and not judging, and you know, Jesus was a very cool guy that didn't, you know, judge anyone. And then I can see like Christianity going more and more on the right wing, and you know, with Trump and all of his followers, like it's starting to feel a lot more like a double standard, judgmental prison. And I don't want Christianity to become that. I want to be a part of like the change for also like Gen Z and the next generation, that like the message comes across. That's what's important, not the old scriptures and using them to your advantage as you see fit. That's like, that was not what Jesus said, and that's like, I'm not even like a very personal Christian person, but it really provokes me that someone would take such a beautiful message and use it for political gain and power and to push other people down. And it's like, I want to be a part of that change. So that's also a, a reason why I'm doing this, to kind of like bring the hippie flow out from the Bible.
I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, we're a very Catholic country, and I wouldn't say I had the most, Catholic or conservative Christian upbringing in any way. It was more like from society. I went to church, schools, like looking back, it's an interesting childhood to have, I would say, especially as someone from the queer community. It's a very weird experience, and even when I speak to friends of mine who used to go to, it's funny. We have this running joke that half of the guys who were in secondary school with me in our church school, we all came out as queer eventually. And I'm not saying it has anything to do with it, obviously, but it just kind of
It is strange.
it's you kind of realize how many of us live in that repressed
Yeah.
way, whether it's sexuality or just our religious beliefs, or I guess in your case, where your upbringing was very Christian. So I'm very happy to hear that there is also you have this kind of very strong personal, almost like what's the word, like mission almost, in a sense,
Absolutely.
where it's almost almost kind of owning your past, as
Yeah.
well, and your reality, and making something beautiful out of it, so
Yeah, we've had in my family, we've had a long journey. It started with like my dad being not like anti-queer, but like skeptical, but why this and why that? And then I would do Sunday dinners, and I would challenge and challenge and challenge, and he knew that I was kind of a big ally. And also, I've been doing pride events since I was 20. So it's always been a big part of my life to be a really strong ally. Also because I think the LGBTQ plus community has been an ally for me when people haven't really been interested in my music. The queer community has always been. So it's like a love relationship, I think. And I also feel like a part of it, even though I am, a straight white woman. So I am really on a mission, and I feel like I don't necessarily think that my record is going to like change the world, but I think if everyone can do something meaningful with their platform, the whole world is going to be a better place. And if we just like turn our backs to it and say like, well, I'm just going to quit Christianity, then I'm just going to ignore Jesus and the message and the Bible and all of these like powerful messages of love and God, then kind of the right wing Christian wins, because they get to own the truth, and it is not the truth. It is the opposite. I've always wondered why, white old men have such a like problem with what people who people love, and how people raise children, or like it's so weird to me. Like, why do you care so much? It's just a deflection, you know
Yeah,
it's all it is. So yeah, I think everyone should just, in their corner of their little world, just do what they can. And that
yeah.
Dawn project is mine, kind of full circle moment.
Mhm.
Mm.
Well, I mean, I wish you obviously the very best of luck with that, and I'm super looking forward to seeing more from you because, like I said, you've remained in my mind, in terms of being like a Eurovision fan. I enjoyed that there are always those few artists every year who I end up following afterwards just because I really enjoy their entry and especially if it speaks to me or just the style is something that I really enjoy and I keep following, and you were one of those people. So obviously I'm also very thankful that you decided to come on here. It's very encouraging for me, obviously, because this is something I want to do, is to now start reaching out to people from outside of our island and just have these really nice conversations about pop music and everything else in between. So yeah, just really want to thank you so much for your time. It was a real pleasure. Trying not to be a fanboy, but it was a real pleasure to have you.
I think it was a really interesting conversation, and thank you for listening to my music and just like being interested. That's just really great and flattering, and I loved our conversation. It was really real, and let's not give up on Eurovision just yet. Let's hope that it finds a way, and yeah, I'm excited for the future. I think good things are to come.
Yes, fingers crossed.
Mm.
Thank you so much. And obviously, I want to thank everyone for joining in. Hopefully, this will be the first of many conversations, not just with former Eurovision artists, but also other people. I won't spill any more tea for now, but there are plans. Let's just say that I have my eye on certain drag race queens from Europe, fingers crossed. So, yeah, thank you so much, Margaret. And thank you, obviously, all of you for watching. Bye.
Bye.